Okay, sweet.
Let's get it, brother.
Sweet. So, before I start, what's the ratio in here? Who's agency owner, coach, operator? Agency owner? Is the majority agency owners? Is there any coaches in here?
I'm consultant.
Coach as well. Operators? Operators? Yeah, pretty much. This can apply to pretty much all of you. So this was, a lot of this stuff is from a webinar that I did from operating. As you guys know, if you guys don't follow me, I've scaled a ton of businesses to 7 figures a month, multiple businesses to 6 figures a month. That's how I built my brand. I documented everything. I started selling my own consulting licensing program on accident, actually. I still make the majority of my money from my agency, and I've consistently built a portfolio of businesses that have been making over 7 figures a month for the last 8 to 12 months, right? And a lot of this stuff in this webinar will apply virtually to all of you, okay? So there are lessons that I've learned scaling businesses to 7 figures a month, whether it's B2C, B2B. Most of my offers have been in like B2C markets, some B2B markets. And then also what I've learned from scaling my agency. At peak, we did over $500,000 in a single month. And that's from clients who made over $5 million, and I took 30% of that. And so you can kind of do the math there. I've also done major consulting deals. At top, my licensing program did over $250K a month, and we've been basically filtering around like $150K a month for the last 6 months. So been very profitable. I am literally the definition of what Champ said as like a micro audience. I have about 13K on Instagram. 3K on YouTube, and significant amount of money. So just want to preface that if you guys don't think this applies to you, just wait till the end, okay? So what you'll learn today, why operating is the best business model to go into in 2026. Like I said, I did make this for operators, but if you are an agency owner and you aren't taking rev share in the businesses that you're working on, I've had a chance to talk to major business owners in any niche, like dentists, this, that, and the third, who I work with, like coaches and SaaS companies. They all take rev share. They're all making majority rev share, and they take in equity. The exact outreach plus Loom plus offer stack I use to land huge rev share deals. So a lot of you guys are doing outreach. We've been doing outreach. I've been doing over 500 plus. I have like 3 setters on my accounts across Twitter, email, and Instagram. And the exact Loom video that I've been sending, I call it a private VSL. If you guys know what that is, everyone should have that in their business. It's an explainer business. It's about a private VSL. And everyone should have that, not only as a post-booking material, but also like an outreach video. And my setters have been for the last probably like 16 months sending that. That video has over 5,000 views on it, and you guys will see how that's so effective. I know you guys can use that for yourself. And how I turn sales calls into people that will pay me 15 to 30K like nothing. Because I don't really take sales calls, I take decision-making calls, and you guys will see how that is. If you guys aren't at 100K per month yet, 180-day path to 100K per month, pretty easy. And how I use AI to automate fulfillment, offer building, funnels. And this is really the biggest skill you can build in 2026, obviously. I'll be talking about a lot of stuff. My name is Jay Singlin. We're responsible for over $10 million in coaching revenue, probably about $20 million at this point. I was born in Minnesota. I failed my first agency. I ran an SMMA for real estate brokers. Really good at selling it, really bad at fulfillment. This is me in college, my shitty ass car. And basically the way that I got my start is I drove across the country. I had coffee with one client, got rev share in his business, made him 250K, and then took 30% of that, and that indirectly closed me the rest of the clients that I have now. But yeah, so I scaled my agency from scratch. Like I said, top month was 450K, $10 million plus in revenue. And my goal really is to scale top coaches and consultants to 6 and 7 figures per month. It's really not worth it for me to take on anybody that's not making 6 figures per month. And I don't think you even start a business until you're at 100K per month, honestly. Because you really realize how small 100K per month is when you actually start making it, right? These are some of my results. I just kind of go about this. I've been number 1 on WAP probably like 5 different times, $2 million in 35 days with one client, a bunch of stuff there. And these are some wires that I've personally received profit for if you guys don't believe kind of the numbers that I was saying. And over the next 45 minutes, I'm gonna go over, like I said, I'm not gonna repeat it, but if you're an agency owner or not in the info space, like I said, you'll learn how to use this to scale to $1 million a month with your model in any direct way, right? So I wanna answer the question most people have when scaling this business. I think I deleted this slide there. I made a lot of these with Manus, but how can you scale with a micro audience is basically what I said. And this is, I got to here. I got really popular when I started talking about micro VSLs and how to make a lot of money with your agency, even if you don't have a lot of results, and even if you don't have a big audience, right? And I basically learned this from like the direct response world. So the way that I scaled the real estate SMMA to 30K per month it was all off of cold email, was I started making pitch decks, and I basically turned that into every 6 to 12 months, I'll make a new evergreen loom video. I never do personalized outreach, and I probably close, at top, we closed 20 rev share clients in a single month that were all 6-figure plus clients. I sold a couple of those deals for 30K plus because I couldn't take them on, and it was all from this video alone. I never do personalized outreach ever, and I'm actually against it because the truth is, there's no nuance in this business at all. Like in 2026, there's no nuance in AI. There's no nuance in marketing and sales. There's no nuance in anything. You're not gonna wow anybody. You can wow somebody by saying your meat just got leaked, as you guys have probably seen like a lot of those DMs. But yeah, there's no nuance. So everything has to be just trust-based, mutuals, and what's it called, like manufactured mutuals essentially. So I've had multiple people run this model, and the way that I use this is if you don't have any results, but you're working with somebody that does have results, every single person has manufactured a certain type of mutual, and this is how everyone gets up in the game. So before I had any clients, I was leveraging the fact that I was working with people that had certain clients. Everyone that works with me leverages the fact that they learn from me directly to get those clients. So if you're really struggling to close huge clients right now, there is a leverage point that you can use, and you can make money without having big results. Now, here's how to create this evergreen loom video. So as you guys can see, this video has thousands of views. Like this video is over 12 months old now, and this is the way to create it. So, and this will all go full circle at the end because I'm gonna be going over a ton of shit. But the first thing is the hook. So you lead with the result first, or you lead with future pacing. Very similar to YouTube videos. My YouTube videos all look like this as well. Not very fancy, but they've made a ton of money. The next is the system, and you're future pacing the whole time. So that's what you do and how it works, the why it works for you, and you make it feel personal and inevitable. And if you guys actually want to see this video, I will send it to you on Instagram. But you guys, I'm gonna keep going. So number one is the hook. So example lead from this video. Last month we did over $1.7 million from a single client. Here's the proof. The first 60 seconds of the video must answer why you should keep watching it essentially. Every single time that I've seen an agency owner struggle, I've seen people with 65,000 plus followers. I've had a lot of the people that you follow. I think Max does the whole evergreen loom video strategy now. He made a shit ton of money by doing that. Every single person that I've seen master the agency model or done for you consulting model or any deals over 30K plus all have a private VSL attached to it, not only for post booking, but also before their call. And in fact, I have clients with over $3 million followers across platforms that I use for this now for post booking. Because what a lot of people have now is we are in a trust recession, and this is what actually solves it. Number two is the system. So you walk them through exactly what you build for the clients, and you show actual proof. So we'll go over the sales infrastructure, the marketing system, the tracking slash ops layer, and basically at the end of this, what you're trying to take them through, just like a webinar. Everything is about direct response marketing, and if you don't master direct response marketing, you basically can't scale any business in 2026 because you can't convince anybody, not to the numbers that you want to, right? Especially in a rev share business when you have to give away, when you have to give so much money to employees. But this whole thing is about hook. It's about showing them the actual system that you know what they're talking about. It's about future pacing, and it's about actually making them see the opportunity cost. If you can match your future pacing and opportunity cost, you can get the gap to their goal and what they actually want to make. And luckily for you guys, if you're in this market, everyone wants to scale to 100K per month. This is why it works for you. Most coaches slash operators get it wrong. The changes, basically like, I don't know where I was going with that, but the changes to the systems in place, like there is no nuance to it, right? The first 30 days when you're starting to reach out like this, I knew where I was going with this. You should basically be expecting to send at least 100 DMs a day, because if you at least have this frame, you don't have to do the shitty follow-ups essentially. I know when somebody watches this video, and basically from this video, we tracked it from everybody that watches end to end, we have a 40% booking rate and a 10% close rate from everybody that live watches this video essentially in some amount of capacity, whether that's a rev share client or they're just a consulting client. That ends with a clear low friction, and we actually have data on this. And if you make this, you can actually focus on the video. And I know if somebody watches this video now, they have at least a 10% chance of closing. If they watch at least 15 minutes of it, they have a 40% chance of closing from that. It's an amazing system to run. Now, here's who you send this to. Warm leads who haven't booked yet, past calls that haven't closed, DM conversations that stalled, and people who engage with their content. Okay? So for cold leads, you need a script to include with the VSL. Now, I know that when people start messaging me essentially, when I get somebody to at least respond to the message, if I can at least get them across the barrier to understand what I do, you decrease the level of, influence that you give. So most of the time, people don't trust them. The amount of times I get people that say, I'm getting 20 plus operators reaching out to them every single day. If they watch that Loom video, immediate trust from somebody that they know in the space, from the process that I actually know what I'm talking about, and from the process that I don't sound like a beginner, right? And this is why we make VSLs, and this is why the call funnel has been relevant for over 20 plus years. But this is just a private VSL essentially. Now, how do I find top tier clients? I'm gonna preface this as well. The way that I structure this and a lot of the talks that I do is like, I don't structure this for like pitching or anything. I just really teach a lot of the lessons that I learned. So this is going to be about outreach and how you guys can find a ton of clients. The next section is going to be a webinar framework that I use to print with clients that you guys can actually use. And then the last part of that is the best ad strategy that I find in 2026. So if you guys get a little lost. But if you guys are really struggling with finding top tier clients, the way that you go and do this and the way that I go and do this for somebody who isn't at above like 10 to 20K per month with, that's why I just wanted to include this. You go and find who everyone is following. I've probably closed more people. In fact, everyone has like a wrong approach with referrals. I've actually made a shit ton of money in referrals, but not in the way that you guys think, right? They've all been through customized referrals. So when I close, I'll give you guys a little story. My first client ever was a trader. I lived in Tempe. That's when I drove across the country to go and get him. For 6 months, we made a good amount of money, and then I was looking to scale the agency essentially. So what I did is I asked him, I'm like, listen, you go put me in a group chat, and Hermosi coined this. I've learned a lot of this stuff from Hermosi. You go put me in a group chat with Anthony from Q, and I'll give you 5% of what I make from that. This is why you should be taking rev share as well. And that happened. Anthony took, and then I basically had 2 clients making over 500K. I was probably bringing home a good 75K per month from that. And then Anthony put me in a group chat with Q, which was my biggest client at the time. Q put me in a group chat with the CEO of his prop firm, which is a 9-figure company, and we have equity in that now. So this is how powerful this can go, not from hoping that somebody will go and refer you business, but from a customized referral approach. What did I do when somebody put me in a group chat with that person? I sent them the private VSL on everything that I've done. Everything is kind of full circle, and you'll see I'm a very simple thinking person. Everything goes down my funnel. That's kind of how it looks. But if you guys are looking to, this is the best way to go and find it. If you guys don't, I have a 7-figure lead scraper that I was just planning on giving to you guys. I basically built this over the last year, and I've closed some of the biggest clients that I've closed by scraping everything from like Google search data and actually filters by the niche, follower count, engagement rate, location, and it exports a lead list of over 200 plus qualified people in under 10 minutes, and that's unheard of in the coaching space. If you're in any other thing like the dentist or medical space, 100 times easier. But we've closed huge guys like this. I think that's on the next. I'll go over that in a second. But this is kind of what I was showing. So anybody that has a following list, you can literally just search up like trade. You can search up real estate. You can search up coach, and that's how you're going to go and follow them. And then the scraper that I actually uses a system of these. So SERP API, the biggest, one of the biggest databases on the internet right now. N8N and a Google Sheet. If you guys want that, just DM me after this. I've literally charged 15K plus for this system right here. But I figured like just get really good rapport with you guys. So, and yeah, these are some of the results right here. This girl has over 2 million followers. One of the biggest people in the space in her manifestation niche. Really weird niche, but it fucking prints. She makes over $2 million a month. And then, yeah, I've closed that. If you guys know who Dawson Gibbs is, he's a huge content agency guy, probably very niche knowledge. He does about 500K, 600K a month, and we close him from that simple model, okay? Does anybody have any questions about that portion? Because I'm going to go into webinars and stuff like that. What's up?
Yeah, I actually want to mention something. So when you send me videos, I just started sending moves out to try and like explain my product to people.
Yeah.
And so there's so much bullshit with AI being thrown around.
Mm-hmm.
Do you usually ask if they want to see a video? Or
No.
like, if they'd be interested in anything at all? Or do you just like toss the video out there, just like here, like, this will make it really easy?
Yeah, so my whole philosophy on sales is you can reduce all sales friction by just giving them a reason why you want to send them something essentially. So my DM always looks like this. I've literally sent the same DM. I'm so lazy about it. Like it says, hey, how's it going? I think that you can be making a lot of money with your coaching program. There's a lot of different like stuff in there. Obviously, I've scaled one creator like Q to $1.7 million a month. This guy as well, multiple clients. I see that you followed him. This is why I think it would make sense for you to hop on a call. If you mention that somehow, this is why it would make sense for you to hop on a call, and then you do low friction essentially. So do you have time? Do you have 15 minutes for a quick chat essentially? Do you have a quick 15 minutes? I've been using the quick, if you guys know Tanner Chittister, if anybody knows who that is, he coined that. So if you use the quick 5 minutes, quick 15 minutes, the low friction plus the future pacing will get almost anybody above the line. That's like advanced sales shit. And then once they ask, I always use the same Loom video. I never make personalized Loom videos unless it's directed to them. And then I'll be like, hey, I explained everything in here. This should make sense. Let me know when you watch it, and then let's book a call. And they always go and book a call, and then I say the same thing. And then one thing I also make sure to do, so this gains so much frame because the hook and the systems and everything shows them what to do and shows them what we're gonna do. The end of the video shows them my onboarding form and how easy and seamless it is to sign on with us. So they believe that the call will actually take 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? It never takes 15 minutes, but that's just what it is. Any other questions?
So my problem is when I do outreach, I'll send them like a Loom or something and they'll watch it, or sometimes they don't actually watch my
Mhm.
How do you go about like following up? You know, sometimes they're not gonna like watch them and book a call right after. So I just want to see what your process was.
Yeah, there's always going to be people that like obviously don't go and book. But if they don't go and watch it, the whole thing, the only follow-up strategy that I do is always future pacing, essentially. So it's the same exact thing. So every DM I'm going to send is going to be, hey, let me know if you saw this. I really think you can scale to 100K per month. I'm very confident you can scale to 200K per month. I'm very confident you can book 20 calls in the next week with a system, not trying to be annoying. That's the reason that lowers the friction completely. But if you say like, let me know if you saw this, bro, yo is the most annoying DM ever, bro. Like I don't get why people think that works like to other people. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, if you hear any other like strategy for DMs, just ask them how many calls they're actually booking. Because for the past at least like of the good 4 months, we've been booking anywhere from closing anywhere from 3 to 5 done for you clients per week, and done for you clients are extremely hard to close.
Yeah.
So because you're literally taking large percentages of their businesses, you know?
Yeah.
So and I not only use this for the done for you business, but I have a separate evergreen Loom video, private VSL, for the licensing consulting business as well. That explains everything and gets them across the line. What's up?
This might be an overly generalized question, but then you said you're signing 3 to 5 done for you clients a week. How are you signing the 3 to 5 done for you clients who are wanting you to take the massive amount of rev share at where they're already at, right? Like let's say 100, 200K. Or rather than, because like it's super easy to close somebody who's doing like 5K and he's like, yeah, take 40%.
Yeah.
But at scale, it's more difficult. I'm curious what your strategy is.
Yeah, there are a good amount of times where we have to do something like, for example, we do full stack. So like marketing, sales, back end. This is why we justify taking 35 to 40% of rev share, right? Sometimes they have a marketing team or there's a lot of different scenarios where we'll just do sales managing for them. And that's why I can still take that. So we'll take 10%, right? Or they just need a COO. Oh, I'll bring my assistant in and I'll just have her take that essentially. Most of the time it's like filtering out their old team and actually thinking they can make more money, or just A/B testing us against somebody else. But 100K per month or 50K a month is actually an amazing part to take them in. If somebody's making 50K a month, for example, my top client who made over $2 million has been making over 50K a month with his low ticket program for 8 months before that. And then we just implemented high ticket, a new funnel, a webinar process. I'm actually gonna go over webinars. Most people don't know how to do actual direct response marketing, especially with big brands. And that's how you can actually differentiate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, and there are tons of people who either have bad teams. And by the way, if anybody ever gives you a hard time about justifying giving you a large part of their business, it's future pacing again and it's opportunity cost. I always use these two in sales. This is how I became really good at sales without ever like studying a bunch of sales stuff, right? I have studied a bunch of sales stuff, but basically when somebody like justifies that, when they're like, why would I give you 30 to 35% of their business? I can pull up a few brands and I know their operators and I know that they're given the same exact percentage. And I literally tell them nobody who is doing above these numbers has 100% of their business. Nobody is doing everything by themselves. Because a lot of people will say like, yo, I could do this all myself. Why can't I just do that? Yeah, that's fine, but nobody's doing that though. You know what I'm saying? And it's not leverageable for you to do. So if you want to keep doing the VA tasks, that's basically what I say. And then I future pace again. So yeah.
Can I ask you a follow-up? So
Yeah.
so for you, obviously, social proof is super easy because you scale to like multiple 7 figures
Yeah.
for brands. Somebody who doesn't have that social proof, what was the angle you were taking like a year and a half ago?
Yeah. So you go harder on future pacing, right? But also, if any of you guys are in like a consulting program or you look up to a mentor or something like that, you guys don't know, but this is how everyone else did it. You can just say that you worked with somebody one-to-one who taught this person, who worked with this person. And you're not lying with them because you actually, let's say like people work with me one-to-one. I have this kid who's like 17, he works with me one-to-one. And he says that, and the people know me, and then they come to me and ask him like, yeah, Ollie's a G. He closed 3 10K setup fees in that first like 2 weeks of joining. it really works. So that's the mutual effect essentially. So that's the same effect that I was using with Q. Like I would use his name, I would use the brands that I would work with, and I would do the mutual referral method because there's mutuals there. They always close, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and obviously you don't lie about it. You actually just, you know what I'm saying? Like you go with who you're working with. And this is why people record case study videos, but you're manufacturing it. So, and then you just future pace. So like before I closed the guy, I was like, yo, you don't know it, but there are people with smaller brands than you making over $200,000 a month right now, $300,000 a month. And you're just sitting on cash right now. I can go over this in a quick 15 minutes. Let me know if you have a quick 15 minutes to chat. Always the same principles, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, man.
Yeah. What's up?
I think I got my question. Pretty good answer.
Fire. So yeah, that was direct response. And if you guys don't do this after this, and if you guys think you're at a too low of a revenue number to do this, or too high, most people think they're at a too high of a revenue level to do this, or too high of a brand. You're not. Like I said, I've implemented this with people with millions of followers to the people that are actually going to close. And it turns, who knows the stages of market sophistication? Stage 4 buyers, everyone knows what stage 4 buyers is. Turns stage 4 buyers into stage 3 and 2 buyers really, really quickly.
I'm curious, what does your team structure look like to take on that many done-for-you clients?
I have that at the end.
Okay.
I'll show you. Yeah, it's a really good model. But I'm gonna go over webinars now, and this is the best model to sell high-ticket coaching. A lot of this was made with Manus. Some of it may look like AI. I don't really care as long as it gets kind of the point across. You know what I'm saying? So first off, a lot of people have a big brand and they're not actually making the money that you think they are. Now being behind so many different coaching businesses, I don't know if anybody's seen my Twitter stuff with the Millsap stuff and stuff like that, but there's a lot of people like that, bro, that aren't actually making the money that you think they're making. In fact, a lot of them are making sub 100K a month. And I agree 100% with Champ's case that a lot of micro brands are taking over because they completely rely on proof and they completely rely on that reliability. A lot of this comes down to this. So I'm going to be going over this. So most coaches are selling high ticket the hard way, cold VSLs, taking discovery calls. I have a lot of friends who in the coaching space, they just rely on like free calls and taking free calls with them. This mixed with a skeptical market just equals fucking poverty. Inconsistent revenue, high ad spend, low show rates, and the business only works when you work. And I've been a part, indirectly or directly, of multiple coaching businesses, probably over 10, that will get this to work off a launch, right? Because they have so much desire built up, but they're not going and they're not creating a new market because all of their audience is pretty much stage 4. And for people that don't know what stage 4 is, everyone's pretty much stage 4. They're problem aware, right? Everyone knows they need to make money, essentially. Everyone wants to make money. People like Jeremy Haynes' audience, this is why he has like a 3-minute VSL. He's product and brand aware. So you need to sell people on the 3 things. You need to sell them on the brand, the opportunity, let's say that's trading, and then your success with the brand. So that's themselves, and then like themselves essentially. So there's technically 4. This is how you're gonna do it. So this is why webinars win. I've switched all my clients to this now. I'm switching all my clients to webinar, every single one of them, especially ones that are making over 300K to 400K on VSL funnels, because this is what has scaled everyone that I know essentially to millions of dollars a month. And you know why? Well, you can sell to hundreds at once. First off, who has been in a full webinar, like end to end? And who has bought from a webinar?
I haven't bought, but I've run some.
You bought through a webinar? Whose webinar?
Tom Cruise's.
Tom Cruise's? Have you bought through a webinar?
Yeah, Eddie's.
I bought through Eddie's too. So like, he scaled to 400K a month with that, you know what I'm saying? Dialers go crazy calling fresh leads. So sales, I was talking to Travis the other day. There's a ton of there's a ton of high ticket reps in the info space that are switching to life insurance because it's fucking hard right now. And the volatility is insane. You can actually turn your info business into not a very volatile business at all. And show rates and conversion rates go up like crazy. And by the way, the webinar has the same exact effect as the evergreen Loom video. And I'll show you guys why. So a cold VSL. It takes way too much time selling on the back end. A webinar does the selling for you before they even speak to you. It's classic direct response marketing. Here's a stack that I use for anybody that doesn't know how this works. I'll go over this very quickly. It'll be very beginnerish. I use Webinar Jam to host a live event, GHL, funnel pages, close, SMS reminders. You can also use, we rely heavily on SMS Blast. If you guys don't have this and you have a mass market business, you need to get on it. And ConvertKits for deliverability. I think ConvertKit has the best deliverability as far as marketing because you can use their DNS settings instead of your own. But it's neither here nor there. So number 1, you set this up on Webinar Jam. It must be a live event, not automated. Automated events don't work anymore. If your clients are being lazy, tell them that. You build the funnel. So this will look like registration, thank you page, application, and confirmation. And I'll be going over marketing strategies a little bit later and how to actually build them down the funnel. Email sequences, use broadcasts. Jeremy is absolutely right when he says you should be sending like 3 to 5 plus emails per day before the webinar even starts. Because you're selling them even before the webinar starts. the webinar, you're selling them on the webinar, and then you have to sell them on your actual program in the webinar. So you're hammering them leading up to event. I'll be going over how we do that with ads. Weekly SMS reminders until it's like 24 hours out. Then we're sending that much. And then yeah. So the webinar structure looks like this: the hook, problem and shift, system, proof, the close. Same exact way that we do the private VSL. I can send you guys, and I'll be going over different strategies with the webinars. But the offer stack, and you can absolutely do this with your agency as well. But the offer stack looks like either a front end offer, where it's a cohort coaching program sold directly on the webinar. And I think I switched these around, but this is supposed to be $2,000, and this is supposed to be an upsell. I'll go over upsells in a second. But usually $2,000 on the front end, but most of the webinars that I do are pushing a booked call to later on go and close high ticket. My favorite webinars to run. And then execution, obviously this really dials in the dialers. If you have a dialing team, for reference, for my offer, I ran a webinar. If you guys ever seen it, I've gone over a lot of these slides. I had 70 people on the webinar, and I made 60K cash from that webinar, 62K cash, essentially. I mean, exactly, it was like 62.5.
Can you repeat that?
62.5K cash, 70 people on it, 300 people that registered, yeah. I go over that case study in a little bit. And then I've also had people, if you're in more of a B2C market, the registrants get over to a couple thousand. But that's kind of what it looks like. And you really can't do that anymore with CTAs, this, that, and the third. And I build it all with AI. And this is part of the reason why I'm able to have so many clients. But Claude writes the entire webinar script based on your offer and avatar. I do the really good market research for all my clients. You'll see this with voice memos. And I built the slide deck with Manus. In fact, I built all of this with Manus. And there's a prompt that you can use. So Manus is slowly, I'm actually building this software. I didn't really want to tell this to anybody, but when how I got started is I have a YouTube video titled How I Made a Coaching Program $1.7 million a month. And I just go over everything. I didn't know it was going to go like hit 11K views at the time or do really anything. But I screenshotted all the Instagram stories and all the emails we did at the time, and I turned it into a Miro board, like 25 plus days of just launch sequences following the Whisper Tease Shout framework, if you guys know what that is. And I basically prompted Manus to now, every time I onboard a client, make that same exact Instagram story, but for their brand, a sequence of those and emails with the market research. So this is really where it's going. You can do the same exact thing for webinars. So I'm gonna go over the different strategies you can run. These are 3 different types of webinars you can run for your clients. I do the second one the most. First one is the break-even front end. If you guys know, who's the big real estate guy? I mean, who's the big e-com guy? Brooke Hiddings. Brooke Hiddings has been running this model for like 3+ years. I think he's at a couple 7 figures a month. One of the biggest Amazon guys used to run the Kevin Kunze, Kevin Packman. They used to run this. They break even on the front end and they sell the shit out of the back end essentially. Huge 15K programs, 30K programs, and they'll actually get like a 10 to 15x back end ROAS. It's fucking insane. Book a call funnel. This is usually what I do. So the secret weapon is you'll use a 2K downsell to liquidate ad spend for those who don't go and book, and then you go and close people. And I actually, funny story, the last webinar that I ran, a lot of these slides were used. Iman Ghazi's old CFO of one of his companies, it was for Educate, actually paid because he wants to go and scale more revenue share businesses essentially with his clients. And he never followed me before. I made a video seeing his comment on there. He commented from a ManyChat sequence. He came on my webinar and he went and bought him and his partner for 15K. And it does stuff like that. Like, this is what I would recommend the most. And then you can be super nonchalant about pitching as well. Like, the thing that webinars really get to you is like, people that don't know the coaching space or anything, they might go to my funnel or my Instagram and see like a YouTube video and they're like, how does he actually make money? I'm not very salesy in anything that I do, and that's what it allows me to do.
So how you structure, sorry to interrupt you, how you structure that downsell? Like, you said in the main webinar, or like people book a call on how you always structure?
I don't mention the downsell price on the webinar though.
Because in my case, that we sell over 10K.
Yeah.
I mean, always like, as you say, you did one for yourself.
Yeah.
I never did a webinar because I got this limiting belief that maybe I'm gonna have 50 people
Yeah.
in the webinar. I'm not gonna sell to anyone.
Yeah.
Just 50 people. But I see I'm wrong.
Yeah. The thing with this, the reason why the downsell works is because most people who follow you aren't brand aware yet, right? And so they want the thing that you were talking about on the webinar, but they might not know what's actually best for them. And the downsell might be best for them, but they wouldn't have known either of those options unless you did the webinar, essentially.
But my question is, when do you pitch that downsell?
You downsell on the closing call if you figure out they're not qualified.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I always have a downsell available, always. So, bro.
Price on the actual presentation?
Not if it's high ticket. Not if it's high ticket. On this one, you do break even front end. You'll be like $2,000. $497 is a really popular offer. No, you don't do it on this. Okay. The other one is an affiliate stack. I'll be showing you guys who has seen the event that I'm launching with Caleb with the free McLaren launch. Has anybody seen that? Making a shit ton of money off of affiliates, Shopify affiliates. I think Champ was talking about that. 8 different sources. We run a free event funded entirely by affiliate commissions. Offer 50% commissions. If you guys put your clients on anything like Close CRM, which gives 50% referrals for the first 12 months, my clients spend about $20,000 on Close collectively. So that's a good amount of money that you can just get on, and I've been able to get on that as well. This guy I was just talking about. We're running a huge How I Scaled My Ecom brand to $110 million. Caleb Canales giving away a McLaren, and we're using that. And we're actually probably going to make more money. $3 to $5 million projected is what I'm projected. We're probably going to make more money from the affiliates than we are. We're using TikTok ads. We're using ecom. And just to give you guys a little structure of how I do this every single time, so many people follow him because he has a lot of top of funnel traffic. We're going to capture on the ecom audience with his success, essentially. The first day is going to be about how to build an ecom store. Well, that's when we're going to initiate everyone with a Shopify. So you have to use the Shopify accounts to actually get started. The second day, because it's a 3-day event, this is basically like an elongated webinar, is going to be how to run ads to that store. We have a TikTok affiliate where if they spend $6,000, we get $6,000. Same thing with Google ads, Meta ads, Snapchat ads, and they're going to have to use all of that. And then we have affiliates. Shopify is sponsoring this, stuff like that. And then with webinars, this is just one brand that I've transformed. They were making about $139K in a span of 2 months essentially. And then I put all the revenue screenshots. I think it's a little blurry, but scale them to $1 million a month, just webinars and YouTube, essentially. No brand on Instagram, nothing. And then I wanted to really hit on this. I think a lot of people follow me for this reason. So I've been in this space now where I was at a naive point at one time with Sam, with a lot of different people, where I just thought if you had a large amount of followers, then you can make a lot of money. But everything comes down to influence, essentially. And I learned this. I actually closed one of the biggest influencers in the space. He has about 600,000 followers. He gets about 120K views per story. But his whole brand is built like a movie sequence, like all of it. It's just entertainment based. He probably gets like 600K to 1 million views per reel. Could not even crack 30K with a fitness program. Me, which when I cracked over 250 with licensing, it's had so much interest, I probably had like 6K followers. I had a reel go viral, gave me a couple of followers. He could never do that with his brand because he has no influence. And influence is really, like I said, selling people on the 3 things. You sell people on the brand, you sell people on the market, and then you sell people on your success. When my brand has all the frame, and I'll be showing you guys the content that actually frames that, then it's a win-win game. But basically what his brand has, it has none of those. They just see that he's a cool guy and he's doing cool stuff and he's traveling. Those guys don't make money. Also, business op guys who don't actually show that they're making money when they're in the business of making money, I want to give this frame of trading. So trading, everyone thinks that trading has like the biggest coaching brand. It's all about frame, and I use frame a lot. Well, why do trading coaching business make so much money? Well, because they literally can't make content without having frame, because all of their content has to be about live trading, showing the thing that they're actually making money on. So why, as an agency owner, are you not like actually showing proof? You're not getting frame, and that's why you're probably not at the revenue levels that you want to get to. This is my first webinar, like I said, pretty much accurate with what I said. 300 registrants, 100 live viewers, 6 closes, 60K cash collected. Show rate was about 33%. And this is what it looked like. I made this all with Claude, and I was just capturing on that attention. I'm going to go over marketing, how you guys can market this organically, and then how I follow every marketing strategy. I'll actually show you guys the Instagram stuff. But everything is built on whisper, tease, shout. That's how I built my stuff. Hermosi coined this. He's really good at this. Every marketer has coined this. But every single time you're launching a product, you want to whisper about it to gain interest. You want to tease it for like 5 to 10 days, and then you want to shout it. And then you want to really gain interest there. You can do this with every single thing. So number one, the whisper. Anytime that I'm launching a program or anything, or a webinar, I create curiosity, and I'm saying something like something is coming, and I'm just smashing a date into everyone's head, essentially. This is, if you guys want to like a picture of this, think about how movie trailers do things, right? Like The Resurrection is coming out by Mel Gibson. All I know about that is just the date that it's coming out. If you guys go watch that on Twitter, he's going to do the same exact thing. You can learn everything from that. The tease section. So this is the brand that did over $2 million in a month. These are all of the Instagram stories that we did following the Whisper, Tease, Shout framework, giving away free value, getting them into a Telegram group, and then on the 22nd day, we pitched and we said we're live, and we made 500K the first day, 300K the next 2 days, and then the rest to count the rest of the money. It was It was literally insane. We broke Zapier that day. It was crazy. I mean, for us at least. But yeah, you provide education, valuable content, like I said, and then the shout is when you actually shout it. That's during this day when you actually like, you know, you drive a lot of that, what's it called, that demand, right? And you can actually do this if you're a really good marketer. You do this across SMS, you do this with email as well, and you do this with Telegram groups. And you also do this with ads, and you're good. And marketing and sales specifically is very simple. I'm going to go over the Forrester strategy with ads now. Does anybody have any questions about the webinar process?
Do you apply, like, do you the same for like still cold webinars as well? Like, do you run a cold webinar?
Yeah, cold webinars. This is going to go over how to like push more people into the cold webinars. Cold webinars especially because they're a stage 4 audience, right?
Okay.
So you need to find a way to give people a reason to get into the webinar. So everything is sales at the end of the day. Before the webinar, you need to sell people on why they need to get a part of the webinar, but it's free, right? So you need to sell them on your business model. And then you need to sell them on the webinar from your program, you know?
Okay.
What's up?
When you launch a new offer, what's your cadence for running them? Is it monthly or is it weekly?
What's my cadence? Oh, for webinars? I'll do bi-weekly is the best. A lot of like the minimum is like you should be doing it monthly. So the best strategy to run, by the way, this isn't just for info. This is for most, like I said, with that prop firm that I was working with, I saw the marketing calendars for every single prop firm in the space. They all follow the same exact thing. You're always, and here's how it works. I actually have a diagram for it. It will pop up in a minute. 365 days out of the year, you should never stop selling and never stop marketing. You should always have an evergreen funnel up somehow, whether that's a VSL, just a funnel in general, you should always have that up. Every single month, at least once a month, you should do some sort of live event, and that's like a one-day webinar, some sort of like webinar. Every quarter, you should do an event. And so, who knows, I have this boy named Sue, he's fucking printing right now. Sue's printing with the event funnel, and he literally went from like 100K to like 400K really fast.
Charging 25K for his next event.
Yeah, and he has a whole quarterly plan built out for events. And Jeremy does the same thing, and then that's how you keep the longevity in it. So that's what I would do. I like doing mine bi-weekly though. It gains a lot of frame. Yeah.
When you do it monthly, how are you structuring the advertising? Like, are you doing it hybrid, so you're doing cold and warm?
Yeah, cold and warm. This will answer it a lot, but same thing as the whisper, tease, shout framework, right? You're future pacing, but you're just using different like language essentially. So if you didn't join this last class, here's the reason why you should join this next one. And actually you can use the same webinar for about like 4 to 6 weeks in a row and just kind of frame it differently, and it will do the same thing because it will always get more people. And what you'll see is there's a lot of people. Also, I've seen the back end of Brez's webinars because me, Pierre, and Brez all used to live in the same building in Tempe. His webinars are crazy. What he would see is he would see an average of people attending 2 to 3 webinars before they would buy because they needed to be convinced so much. And I'm pretty sure I was the same way when I joined Eddie's program. What else was questions?
I was just gonna say, like, why do you go to book a call funnel at the end instead of just dropping a payment link at the end of the webinar?
I like high ticket. So I have this whole, actually Jeremy says this as well, right? Like, I don't think you should sell low ticket unless you're at like 1 million followers, honestly. Like you should sell high ticket, right? You're selling your time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So usually what you can sell, and the biggest frame that you can have, is you got a certain amount of success, you're selling the SOPs and how you did it, and holding them accountable that way. So you're just gonna make less money, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times people who are high ticket buyers, who do get convinced by that, actually feel less repulsed to actually go and buy a low ticket program, you know?
So I run an evergreen via cell phone right now. I want to do like monthly webinars.
Mhm.
How often how long should the frequency of the promo be? Right now I'm planning to do it for 7 days of promo.
Mhm.
But I heard you said 14 days.
You should be doing some sort of promo every single day before the webinar.
Okay.
Yeah. But when you get to, let's say 24 hours within the webinar, or I do 48 hours, I'm sending them 3 SMS blasts a day, essentially, being like, hey, don't miss this. This is what I'm going to give away. You can literally intrigue people to buy by just giving away $500, something like that. If I gave away the scraper, in fact, I'm probably going to do it on my next webinar, a bunch of people would join, but they have to stay to the end to actually join it, so they're registering, you know? So that's how you go and do it. And then 7 days before, you want to be sending at least 3 emails a day before the webinar. If you want to hit max efficiency, you can be sending 1, and that's all selling them on the mechanism and trying to get them in frame as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a follow-up question. I meant for like the actual timeline. Do I start promoting like 14 days out, 7 days out?
Oh.
Like, the timeline.
If you're doing it 30 days out, like if you just do a whisper phase for like 10 days, just be like, yo, date. You mentioned date like 3 times in between that time. then yeah, you can start actually promoting like within 20 to 14 days, essentially. I wouldn't do it any less than 14 days though, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How often would you do like the cold webinars?
I do it like once a month at least.
Once a
Yeah,
month, okay.
once a month at least. You can also do weekly webinars though if you want. Like you can really up the cadence. I'm gonna be doing bi-weekly webinars for my brand. But yeah, you can just keep doing that. And if you guys are wondering like the marketing strategy, like if you're doing that, you're probably never gonna shut ads off. So they're always pretty much going essentially, and your funnel's updating. So that's why people keep joining. And by the way, Webinar Jam has this feature where it auto subscribes the people into the next webinar, and they keep getting there's email sequences for that, right? So that's how it looks like. Oh, what's up?
So if you're looking to run webinars like weekly or even twice a week, would you recommend just constantly running ads?
Yeah, but unless you're posting a lot of reels, right? Like, or just like if you're consistent on YouTube, I 100% agree with Champ. I have a micro YouTube channel. It's been the biggest driver of revenue for us. Like if you're doing YouTube videos are always growing. So that link is always going to be there. Register for my next free training, essentially. And then if you get some reels, and I'll be going over, this will explain it a lot because this is like a content ad strategy. So the way that I run ads, actually I'll be showing you guys, is I run content and then I run those traffic ads as basically I go and reach out to people, and everyone, well I go and boost it, that was retarded. I go and like boost ads in an engagement campaign essentially. 20 ads, and then I go and retarget people who watch 90% of that video. And usually 90% of that video, I mean people who watch 90% of that video are only gonna be ICP, because there's only a certain person, like Champ said, nobody wants to go get sold on TikTok. There's only a certain person that will watch 90% of an Instagram video talking about how you scale the program to X amount of dollars, right? Like, nobody from Mumbai is gonna watch that 90%.
How effective have you seen webinars on like YouTube audiences? Because do you feel like they still are good to convert? Because
Yeah.
the YouTube content, kind of like nurtures them already.
Yeah, of course, because if you have the evergreen VSL, there's always going to be people that convert from those, and those people are more bought in. There are people that need a webinar to actually convert. So that you can actually go and just switch all your YouTube links to this is my free training, this is the event. And then you gain a bunch of hype from it. But yes, but if you're just YouTube, you got to find an external way, which is an email list, an SMS list, usually getting more from that, and then ads, something like that, right? So that's what I do. Any other cues? Sweet, sweet, sweet. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Jeremy actually came up with the Forrester ad strategy. Everyone I know who's doing 7 figures plus per month runs this. This isn't SOPs, these videos look retarded, but this is me explaining it. But the Forrester ad strategy is basically uses a content cycle that combines authority and trust building content. I think I showed in here, but I had a reel that popped up for me. It gained about 30K organically. Pretty much everyone that I know in Miami follows me from that. Champ follows me. I don't know, Wade, if you followed me from that one. Ty Lopez reached out to speak to me from that reel. And then I just basically ran that as an engagement campaign because my monkey brain was like, I just want more people like that are big in the space to go and follow me from that. And that's like the origins of this. So you basically run one cold campaign with existing traffic, with case study success stories, and you basically retarget the engaged viewers with direct response ads. So this is like just, you know what I'm saying, like this is showing you exactly how to do it, but you create a campaign targeting cold traffic with authority content. My biggest one was how I was #1 on WAP, making 100K a day. That was me talking about what's it called, the guy who made $2 million in a month. Campaign settings, just engagements. You can do it just broad, and that's 70% of your budget, and you can literally just do this on Instagram. You just want to do this on Instagram, actually. And then you create custom audiences of people who watch 75% of that video, 50% of that video, people who engage with your Instagram. But like, if somebody is buying a let's say they're being abused by their husband, right? And then they're like getting, I mean, that's a terrible example, but like they're buying a program for that about like, I say that because I actually had a program that did that. Like her brand was so boring, but she literally had women that would buy. She's making 300K a month from that audience alone. All she had was 5K on YouTube making videos like that. And we implemented this strategy with her. But like, there's not guys that are gonna go watch that shit, you know? These are the strategies that you do. And then engagement, like I said, and then you basically just use pixel traffic. So these are an example of just Instagram links that we actually go and use. The pixel goes and tracks these, and in fact, it gets more people to your Instagram funnel as well because more people are going to come who actually go and watch those videos because they want you to spend more money essentially. And it's also going to increase your engagement pool. There's this what's it called? Like this thing that people believe that if you run ads or run engagement ads that you're gonna decrease your organic content. It's not true. at all. TGR runs a shit ton of ads, like 12 months around. He is probably the biggest organic pull that I can think of.
Only if you boost posts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is basically boosting posts, but you're running it in the ads manager essentially, you know? So, but here's the pre-launch checklist. Top of funnel, custom audience setup, bottom of funnel campaign created, which I'll be showing you guys in a second. And then budget allocated correctly, 30% should be to the bottom of funnel. And then this is what an engagement ad looks like. And then I think this is the only way I went over this, but I'll just explain it real quick. So the bottom of funnel ads are all going to be, let's say you run a VSL or you run a webinar. Who knows Cody Sanchez in this room? So if you guys go to her meta ads library, if you guys want me to pull it up at the end, you guys will see exactly the thing that I'm talking about, and she's probably in her space. Shelby runs the same exact play, exactly what she does, essentially. She runs a bunch of content, probably like 50 pieces of content, and then she targets people with an event. Her creatives are not good at all. She literally says no fluff in her creatives. You guys go and see it. 6x ROAS on all of them. It's actually insane. And so that's what you basically go and do. And I basically went over this. But yeah, you guys can see the targeting there. But you're just maximizing conversions, just retargeting the whole way. Now there's other ways that you guys can run ads. I have a ton of them. If you guys have any questions, just ask me. But before people hop on a call, by the way, I want to preface this. One of the things that we do is we actually go and retarget them with the content we wanted them in general, and retarget them with 20 plus pieces, and that's the hammer them effect. But yeah, AI is the unfair strategy with all of this, everything I just went over. It's really the biggest skill that you can build in 2026. Here's why I'm going all in on it. AI isn't just a tool, it's kind of my sub-operator. I really use AI for everything. You guys saw that I use AI for everything. I use it for things that used to take 6+ hours of my time. The only way I can run multiple 6-figure offers is AI, and this is what allowed me to hit 450K per month months with my agency. I'm exaggerating that as well, because I use AI, but not as much as I do now. But yeah. You used to compete, here's why the skill gap is massive. You used to compete with people that were 35 to 40 years for their experience in the game, right? Now you have a lever that they actually don't. And a lot of people have paid me because I just was more interested in AI than them particularly, right? Most business owners have no clue how to use AI to make money, and the people who go all in on it will be untouchable in 2 to 3 years. And before AI, all this stuff took me days. For multiple clients now, without AI, it would virtually be impossible. I literally couldn't do it. Now, I get their entire marketing strategy in hours, and if you guys want to know why, it's because I have all the data from my past marketing strategies that actually worked. AI just looks for pattern recognitions, and it plays it into the same exact thing because there's no nuance in the market, essentially, right? Complete funnel within minutes, email sequence within minutes, and SOPs within minutes. Now, this is just what I use as an analogy if you aren't in the AI game right now, but just imagine you owned a bunch of robots that you could put into restaurants, and I use this as a rev share business, right? Each robot gets you 15% of the robot restaurant's revenue. Each restaurant does $1 million a month, 150K per month to you. The robot needs maintenance, updates, strategies, tweaks. That's what operating with AI is like, basically. You're plugging systems to businesses and taking a cut. I'm making it sound easier than it is. It's actually really hard, but yeah, that's what it is. And this is just an overview of how I use AI. I'll go over into offer positioning. Does anybody have any questions about the ad side that I just went over or anything?
So when, especially cold traffic webinars, so when do you do these campaigns for people that are, the targeting that you just showed before is for people that are already just registered for the webinar, or how you, it's the part that I didn't understand.
So when there's this thing called A+, when it's just broad, and Facebook is just very good at finding people that work with your audience.
I know that, but I'm just referring, you using this strategy to nurture people before the call,
yeah,
or before the webinar, or both?
Before the webinar. So there's 3 parts to it, right? So there's the actual Forrester strategy. You want people to watch that content, essentially.
Okay.
The people who watch that content to the percentage that you like, you retarget them with the funnel. And then to get them engaged, just like emails, you actually have a separate engagement campaign. You're just trafficking them, let's say that, where you're basically going making them watch that content, essentially. And you're just pushing them 20 plus pieces, because you know if people watch that content, they'll be more bought in on the brand.
Yeah, and how much money you spend, because you don't have to spend that on, because it's a very small audience, so you don't need to spend that much money, to get to all that.
No, I'll probably spend 10 to 15%. Yeah. But if you're spending 30%, that takes away from the margin of 70%. So really, it's more realistically if you're running that 55% on the top of funnel, 30% on the bottom of funnel, and 15% of that.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
run, if you call to get the people into the webinar, that will be a 50% of all the budget.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. What's up, bro?
Are you, the 70% you're running it to
So we do A/B test those, but everything that we've been doing in the last 8 months, A+ has always like outdid everyone essentially. If you have lookalike audiences, for example, if you have like 100 plus customers that have bought from you, you can make a lookalike audience, people that look like them. I would still test it against A+, which is just broad.
Have you never had problems with A plus going outside of your suggestion and bringing in, like, let's say I was targeting only men,
Mm-hmm.
brought in women to my funnel, and because the CPL on that was lower, it just kept bringing in women?
Yeah, it happens. Also, people lie about their age on Facebook. A lot of people, so like it targets the wrong age, right? But this is a two-step ads process, and this actually solves it because you're not pushing them straight to the book call. You're only pushing them. You're pushing a certain amount of people into it who watch a certain amount of that thing. You can also push people who engage with a certain ad, right? But like that kind of solves this problem because if some women might, but like if an ad is targeted to men and very like clearly targeted to men, a woman is not going to go and watch like 75% of that. You know what I'm saying?
So
Maybe some lesbian.
is your top of funnel then not a direct response to registration?
The top of funnel is the content. An engagement campaign is just turning the existing reels that I have into videos and just like pushing for more people to watch that. So I didn't say the engagement objective, but it says a view profile button at the bottom. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, but the reason why this is so effective, by the way, too, is that view profile thing actually can get you 2 conversions in 2 different ways. So when they view the profile, that's the engagement, right? But like you'll see this all. You guys will probably start seeing this. They might actually go to your bio and go convert organically as well. So it kind of like plays a twofold sword, you know?
So is the 30% then where you're allocating the budget to like retargeting, is that where you're hitting them with the direct response?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
And
That's super cool.
how you do for like pixel conditioning when you're running like cold to the webinar, like when you want people to register? Because when you do like a call funnel, it's kind of
Yeah.
just the application.
This is exactly how I do the pixel conditioning. You're literally, your main conversion event, you're only getting people that are watching 90% of that video. But here's the thing though.
When you want to call people to register to the webinar, just like to fill out the information to register to watch the webinar.
Well, the pixel conditioning then would come for the people that register for the webinar, but the only people that would register for the webinar are the people that I'd retarget from the people that watch that essentially, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
But this is very, very, the cheapest conversions you'll ever get to, by the way. That's why it's kind of like a cheat code. So I'm going to go over into offer and positioning and stuff like that. Like I said, these are just things that I've learned. So I'm going into AI. I forgot we were talking about ads, but reverse engineer offers before anything is built, market sophistication, competitors, proof assets, constraints, and then category of one positioning. I have AI prompts that looks like this. This is a part of my onboarding doc. So the way they're going to get market research from all of the clients and I just understand their brand completely, I make them say a 15-minute voice note before and going over a prompt. And then I basically turn that into a TXT file, relate it with my other successful offers, and then we understand everything and we can start doing marketing like that week. Lumen sales assets, I script evergreen Lumen videos via sales, like I said. Fulfillment, every time something is created, I turn it into an SOP, and that's how I've been able to sell huge programs as well. Operator decision support, I'm not gonna go over this stuff, but speed and time compression. I have a lot of I have a huge database of things because I literally just plug that into AI and it can create replicates essentially. I use that just to flex again, I think. And I have AI prompt library. Now, I'm gonna go over this, somebody asked me about this. The process I use to work with huge clients, 10 to 15 done for you clients pretty much is what I like to stick around. Whenever we get a surplus of clients, I'll usually just cut off the worst clients, go liquidate them another way essentially, and then keep that amount of clients. So here's how I do it. And here's how you can do it as an agency owner as well, without taking a lot of risk or affect your margin as well. So me as the operator, before I had any of this, it was just me doing everything. The sales, the marketing, the assistant, the back end, setting up all the systems onboarding. My first hire was a sales manager. He handles all the closures, the setters, the hiring, the training, all of that. And then I hired an assistant to handle a lot of making sure the emails are going out, doing a lot of the client communication, this, that, and the third. Well, a lot of my work is marketing work. So let's say we do paid ads, we do writing, we do emails, we do everything for the clients, right? Right, sales assets, I have a copywriter. Now, I pay my sales manager about 5% of the profits that I make essentially. I pay my assistants a retainer of about $2,500 at peak. If it's peak season, I'll be paying her about $5K a month. Anywhere in between there, very healthy margins. I'll pay the copywriter 10% profit share of what I make. And you can scale this. So basically what I'm saying is I have sub-operators under me as an operator. And what that means is if I have, usually I'll keep around 15 to 20% total revenue share for a client. And if I make 20% of 100K a month, I'll make 20K, right? I'll pay 10% to the copywriter who did all the work of my profit share, 2,000. I'm very fine with keeping 18,000 for that client. And this is how I get very big clients just on repeat without having to touch them, really. So, yeah, as much as I like touching my clients. Yeah.
At no point would you implement media buyers? Is that just something that you're comfortable doing yourself?
I do, and I'll give them a percentage as well. But I'm lucky enough to have, my assistant just does all the media buying,
Like
yeah.
interchangeable? Like I enjoy writing copy, but I hate fucking media buying. But I just like.
Yes, I'm just saying a model that really works for like agencies because if you're gonna, especially on the rev share model when everything's so volatile, if you're gonna keep scaling retainers, like if you're gonna pay someone 10K a month, they're not gonna be bought in essentially, you know? What's up?
For your copywriter, can you elaborate what was your construct? You don't give them retainers and just 10% profit share?
Yeah, I give a lot of them profit share essentially. So, and then I'll just lay out things to do. Now, some people told me this is a bad model. I've seen huge guys in the space do this actually as sub operators. This is, in my opinion, the only way to scale agencies. And yeah, so some copywriters would even be fine with 5% profit share of yours to get those case studies. So yeah.
Where'd you find the best ones?
I have recruitment groups everywhere. So find the copywriters from Cardinal Mason's group. I go and post in a lot of things. I have sales rep groups everywhere. I always just go and post in those, and then yeah. So, anybody else?
Yeah, you were talking a lot about AI and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say now, especially when it comes to this stuff, like a dump video and stuff like this, is it worth it to learn AI yourself? Or would you say it's better to hire someone else to take care of it for you, like kind of like an operational assistant?
Yeah.
Or would you say
Well, how much?
is it easy enough to learn it yourself? Would you say?
How much is your business making right now per month?
Like 100K a month.
Okay, you could hire an AI person, right? But like if you're
Yeah,
below
I'm
that,
saying, like, if I want to learn it myself,
Yeah.
is that worth the time, you say? Or
yes. So the way that I actually do it as well is when you have a good hiring structure, I have my assistant just set up look at all the things that I need to do, look at things that are taking too long and figure out how to do it with AI and then I'll learn it, essentially, you know? It took us so much time to build the webinar, so all I had to do is go and figure out how to do it with AI and we landed on Manus. Very, very simple thinking, you know?
This assistant role, is this more like a VA or more like an executive assistant?
She's more of a COO now. She used to be my VA and then I just hand her more tasks and whatnot and then she handles client communications. She's more of a COO now.
So like what does that mean in this context? Like she handles communications, operations?
So whenever I have to onboard a client, she's tasked with that.
Okay.
She has to hold everyone accountable.
Yeah.
She has to initiate a lot of things for client communication. It sounds bad, but there are literally some clients who I haven't talked to in like 2 to 3 months, and they're still making money. And a lot of those clients, because I have a good relationship with all my clients, a lot of those clients are like 35 plus, to be fair. But Kim Chi handles a lot of that, and I'll just take like the bi-weekly meetings. Her name is Kim Chi, yeah. Oh shit. Oh yeah.
When you hired her, what was her dev skill set? Because I feel like hiring a VA from like the Philippines is great, but then a lot of them don't have like the development skill set you need
Yeah.
to actually run a funnel like this.
Yeah, so like, I don't know if there's a market for this, but there's a lot of people that come from like London and go to Pakistan, so they're actually like sophisticated. They actually went to a good university, but they go to Pakistan. And Pakistan is full of crazy talented people actually, crazy talented. And it's actually like, and she's, I'm lucky enough for her to actually have like a PhD in that shit. So
Do they have like an online job about Pakistan? Or?
maybe you should start that, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I've heard of LinkedIn too, yeah. Like, yeah. But yeah, I roll this process into every part of my business. Low ticket, high volume businesses, dialer heavy with no sales proven background, and high ticket enterprise businesses. Now, I always include these in my webinars. For anybody that's not at the revenue levels that they wanna use, I actually learned this from pretty much all of my mentors. This is what really scaled me to every single level that I was ever at a certain point. If you're not at the revenue levels that you wanna be at, or you're thinking about changing and getting some sort of like shiny object syndrome, right? This is called the emotional cycle of change. I first heard this from Ben. Really like cycled it in my head. He talked about this all the time. Everyone goes through these stages. So when I was at 0 and I wanted to scale to 100K a month, this is like where I was at. I was at stage 1. Technically, if I want to scale to $1 million a month now, and I'm at a certain level, right? I'm around here, right? Stage 4, informed optimism. I really understand what I have to do, but I'll explain this real quick. So stage 1, everyone starts at informed uninformed optimism, essentially. So you go into a business model and you're all excited. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. You think it's going to be easy as fuck, and everyone goes through this. Stage 2 is informed pessimism. So you won't have success for a little bit. You realize it's harder than you think, and you're just like, fuck, this isn't going to work. What am I going to do? I'm going to have to go back to my 9 to 5. Stage 3 is the valley of despair, when you just think like nothing is going to work and you're pretty much depressed. Few people make it above this. So like stage 4 is informed optimism, and that's when you're optimistic, but you also have a healthy relationship of you understanding what it's going to take. And every time I get into a slump or I get into like a low revenue number, I lose my excitement, I go back to this and I really just map out what those stages are. And then stage 5 is success and fulfillment, but honestly, like you're probably never gonna, you know what I'm saying, like be fulfilled or anything like that. These are a couple more screenshots from this business. If you guys still aren't taking rev share, like I said, I made this because rev share is some of the biggest, like one of the best ways that you can use in your agency, essentially, for any business, really. Yeah. Oh, I thought you had a question. And not only this model is infinitely scalable. So I just wanted to end on this. There's not a lot of models in info specifically where you can exit, where you can scale, especially scaling past like 250K a month. You guys have all heard like the whole like info is only, you know what I'm saying, like scalable to a certain percentage. Me now, working with creators and whatnot, being tapped in with prop firms, I'm now somewhat in the private equity game. We've invested in at least 3 businesses, and that's kind of the play that I'm taking now. And no other business model online can you easily take a model that used to take people 10 to 15 to 20 years to get into to actually go into that business right away. So this is infinitely scalable if you actually crack it. And you know, there's no business that any 21-year-old, 20-year-old should be working with 9-figure private businesses essentially and getting money on the exit in the terms that they do exit. And so yeah, it's everything that I have. And Q&A.
On every rev share, do you get equity?
Yeah. Most of the info businesses that I work with aren't gonna exit because most info businesses don't exit. But yeah, I get equity. So equity is different than rev share if people don't know that. Yeah.
How do you position a deal like that?
Well, rev share is easy, right? So like that's like how we do it. But equity is like a really long like explanation of how you do it, right? So there's like if the exit at a certain evaluation, you can either buy in, which is usually what people do if you guys know what like Y Combinator is, shit like that. And then you set up a bunch of terms with due diligence and whatnot that you wouldn't like divest your shares at this point, or you could divest it at any point. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
You said, but most of them don't exit, right?
Info businesses don't exit. But when I'm talking about 9-figure prop firms, that got me there, because if you weren't here, I was basically explaining the fact that there's not a lot of businesses that you can go into separate private businesses which are more profitable than getting rev share of certain, which I work with creators and I work with coaches and whatnot. Those coaches evidently own bigger businesses that from that deal, from just a 1-year partnership with them, I was able to go and get rev share of their business, which would otherwise take me 10 to 15 to 20 years. So it's like, I'm showing the opportunity cost here.
You're not taking equity in the info, you're taking equity in the actual business that they run.
Yeah, essentially. Well, the info that he runs and then the prop firm is 2 different businesses, essentially. So I take rev share in both and then I have equity on the exit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, but yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.